So we recently had an opportunity to take my son to the Smoky Mountains. He wanted to go to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge for his 16th birthday. So I wanted to explain to you what some of the challenges were on this vacation for me and how I coped. But this is going to be my experience of how this vacation was. The morning of the vacation, I decided I had to get a haircut. My hair had gotten pretty long, and so at the beauty shop, the lady who was cutting my hair was talking over my head to the hairstylist in the next booth really loudly. And when she was cutting my hair, she had the comb and she was combing my hair to get it to the cut. She was going over my ear and bringing my ear down with the comb. And I found that to be a bit uncomfortable. Now, I did not speak up for myself at that point. I was just happy to be getting a haircut before vacation because I meant to get one months and months ago. That's how I procrastinate. So that started out my mindset being agitated. I had to come home and pack for the trip because I'm a procrastinator and I waited till the last minute and I had to get all my stuff together. And my son kept coming in the room trying to talk to me and mention some things, and he could see I was visibly getting agitated because I was trying to focus on what I was doing. It takes a lot of executive functioning skills to pack a suitcase, does it not? You have to remember everything you need, and the older you are, depending on how old you are, you want to remember those medical necessities that you need. So the panic for me was I would forget something that's very important, something I could potentially need, maybe even something I haven't used in a little while but might need on those 4 days I'm on vacation. Then you have the long car ride. So when I'm in the car ride, sometimes I have to do some stimming. I will take some stim toys with me. I have found Nido to be my new favorite stim toy, and it helps my mind. It helps me to regulate if I'm feeling disheveled, disheveled. When we got to the motel, it was a disaster about from the time we got there. And my husband said he should have known something was up as soon as he got there. People were complaining at the front desk, and the motel didn't have very high ratings. We certainly were pretty surprised by all of the problems that we encountered. So we walked in the room, but we noticed right away that the air conditioning unit did not work at all. So we knew we couldn't stay in that room. My husband went to the front desk and the guy gave us another room to go to. After carrying all our bags from that first room, already tired, we had to drag them to another room. So when we got in there, the first thing I noticed was the toilet was running. That is a big thing for me that causes a lot of anxiety. Things running, abnormal noises. I knew that I was not going to be able to handle that. And then my husband turned the TV on and it wasn't working. There was nothing on it. It's just static. We had all hit our wits' end pretty much. But when my husband asked me, well, would I still be able to stay in that room if we asked the guy if we could swap the flat screens out? And I said no because of the running toilet. And he tried to fix it. He couldn't fix it. At that point, I had a breakdown. I was about to cry. My emotions were getting away from me. I could feel them building up inside of me. I knew they were coming. And my husband said, okay, this time if I go to the front desk, I want you to go with me. So I agreed to go to the front desk. And I knew I'd probably blow up at the front desk. But the guy would see how serious I was and that we were going to be getting our money back because it was that stressful. So we went to the front desk. I knew I was on the verge of losing it. And I walked up to the guy and I said, that room, the toilet's running. I can't handle it. And there doesn't have cable. And then I just started breaking down and getting upset and starting to cry, telling him that this is not how vacation's supposed to go. We're not having any fun and we're not staying here and we're going to get our money back. And then I just sat in the chair next to the desk. The guy could see how upset I was. In fact, I told him I was autistic and I wasn't able to handle it. Sometimes I just get to the point where I just don't care to tell people because I want them to know what's up with the emotions. And so we decided to get another motel because we couldn't stay there. As soon as we walked in the room, it smelled like somebody had been smoking in there. Everybody looked at me. They knew that they felt like I was going to say, nope, we can't stay here, we got to leave. But at that point, I was so tired and worn out from dragging all our bags from the car like 3 times. I just felt like maybe I could make it work. Maybe we could salvage and stay there. So I told them on the condition that we go to the CVS pharmacy and get some sort of odor buster or odor eliminator, and then that might work. Don't you feel like sometimes you don't make all your needs known because you feel like you don't want to be a burden? And I felt like my losing control of my emotions at the other motel, I didn't want to go through that again, and I felt like I would just try to make it work. So we went to the pharmacy, and I was going to be the one to pick out the freshener, air freshener, because there's some smells I just cannot take. And so my husband told me to pick out the right one. So we sprayed some. I found one that I thought would work good. And we went to the motel and sprayed in the room, and it really helped a whole lot. And we just opened the door and aired the room out, and that was that. Another thing I want to mention is how out of whack my emotions were that day. When we got to the motel, I was watching funny videos to try to get my mind off of what all had happened, and I saw some videos I found totally hilarious. And so I went from the opposite end of crying earlier to laughing my head off on the bed and everyone looking at me like I was crazy. I find my emotions can get just very heightened, and it appears odd to other people. Wait a minute, you were crying earlier, now you're laughing your head off. My emotions work like that sometimes. I was not regulated very well. The funny video did help to get my mind off of how I felt earlier. So day 2, we go to a pancake house, and it's absolutely slam-packed with people. It was a lot of noises, and it was loud. And the first thing that I noticed was when I got my fork, it felt like it was hurting my hand just to hold it, like it was almost painful. I will say that when my senses are heightened, I can have that kind of reaction. And my emotions have been overloaded for a while at that point. So it didn't surprise me that I felt that way about a silly fork. Most people wouldn't think anything about it. I was hanging out on the patio with my son. My son and I got to talking, and he says, "Do you like being autistic?" It caught me off guard. I felt very happy with the openness of him wanting to talk about it. So what I said was, yes. I said, my ability to hyperfocus can help me be successful in things I strive to do. I feel like my pursuits, creative interests, and I feel like my attention to detail has helped in that way also. You know, I told him, yes, there are some downfalls, like the breakdown I had the night before. That's not easy for me to go through. But he is understanding, and everyone in the family, it feels like, has become a lot more understanding, and it's made it easier for me as I'm still learning more about myself. So then it was day 3. My son really wanted to go to Dollywood. Now this is one I had to dig my heels in the ground about, because I knew if I had gone to Dollywood, it would have been too much for me. There's no telling what would have happened. I just could have lost it right there in the theme park. I had already been through so much emotionally. We knew that, according to the news, there had been 25,000 people the day before because Dolly was there and it was the opening of the theme park. So I knew that the ride's waits would be really long. I knew that it was possibly going to be raining. And I knew it was going to be huge crowds. So, in the best interest for myself, I did not go. So me and my mom were going to just hang out at the motel, maybe go to some souvenir shops, and just relax for the day. Now, I will say that I can be a thrill seeker as far as going to amusement parks. I especially like carnival-themed places. Seems to be my favorite. I love the carnival rides ever since I was younger. Going to the carnival, I would force myself to get past the social anxiety for the thrill of the ride. So I will put myself out there with the social anxiety and all for the thrill of the ride. But going to Dollywood would have meant probably being in lines for like 2 hours, I felt like. And that is uncomfortable for me. And it's just feels weird to be, there's nowhere to look, you know. You don't want to look at people. You're looking up above, you're looking at the ground. Having a cell phone in line is the best thing ever. But it's really hard for me to handle lines, and I do it if I really want to ride the ride. So another thing that is challenging about a vacation for me is being out of routine and not getting to eat what I like to eat for 2 meals a day. Now, I could have taken my breakfast foods and lunch foods. I felt like we wouldn't really have room in the trunk. I thought I could surely get by for 4 days not eating the same things I usually eat. But we ended up going to Publix. I ended up getting my peanut butter and honey and bread. I will say my family thinks my eating habits are pretty extreme. Another thing I found myself doing on the vacation a lot of the times was going through my photos on my phone, re-editing them to make them even better, and organizing them in folders on my phone. Now, I realize this is not normal for a lot of people, but for me, it brings me joy to look through my photos, as photography's been a hobby my whole life, and photographs I really love. I spent a lot of time on this vacation when there was downtime, just looking through my photos and being excited about the photos and videos I had taken. In fact, I find my job to be like the one who documents the vacation. I am the videographer, right? I just make it like a job, but a fun job. So it feels like, there is a purpose there, and it gets me through some situations where it kind of edges the social anxiety away because I'm focused on the shots that I want to take on my cell phone, the video and things. It started out rough. This vacation started out really rough. But there were lots of good times afterwards. And my son turned 16, and I'm so glad we went. So despite a few setbacks, it was well worth it. So I want to know what your experience is with vacations. Are you able to go places? Does it depend on where you go? What type of vacation? Do you like nature vacations, like going in the mountains and things like that? Or do you prefer touristy attractions? Do you need the thrill are you a thrill seeker? Do you like theme parks? So just share that down below. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye. Look at this view. Isn't that cool? I wonder where we have the paper.